If you've been following the war in Ukraine closely, will both shock you and give you a sense of the high-stakes intelligence game that is unfolding every single day on the front lines. Before dawn, Ukrainian forces made a discovery that, on the surface, might have seemed routine. But what they found was anything but ordinary, a hidden Russian convoy, concealed under the cloak of darkness, moving silently through occupied territory. And what happened next is the kind of moment that shifts the narrative on a battlefield. Before the first light of day, Ukrainian intelligence units had already begun their meticulous sweep along the contested roads of eastern Ukraine. Every movement, every shadow, every hint of mechanical disturbance was scrutinized with a level of attention that can only be described as painstaking. It was during these early hours, when the air is thick with stillness and uncertainty, that the discovery was made a Russian convoy, carefully hidden from view, moving silently through territory that Ukraine has been tirelessly monitoring. This was not a casual observation. It was the culmination of intelligence gathering, satellite imagery, human reconnaissance, and digital surveillance coming together in a precise, almost cinematic moment. The convoy's presence was significant not merely for its physical composition, but for the implications it carried about Russian intentions, supply chains, and operational planning. Ukrainian forces had anticipated movement, but nothing could fully prepare them for the scope of what lay before them. Vehicles that had been camouflaged under makeshift coverings, trucks with reinforced protection, and mobile units all hinted at an operation far more strategic than a routine resupply mission. The discovery was made under conditions that demanded both patience and intuition. Ukrainian analysts had spent days, even weeks, tracking patterns, studying terrain, and predicting routes. And in this quiet moment before dawn, all of that preparation converged. The soldiers on the ground, guided by intelligence that was both granular and expansive, could now see what had previously been invisible, a line of Russian supply and personnel movement that was critical to ongoing operations. The revelation sent immediate ripples through command channels. Ukrainian commanders, well aware of the potential consequences of either action or inaction, began rapidly weighing options. The stakes were immense. One misstep could allow the convoy to reinforce positions Ukraine was strategically aiming to weaken. There was also an acute awareness of the human element, the drivers, the support crews, the troops relying on these supplies, making the ethical and tactical calculations even more complex. And yet, the discovery itself was remarkable not only for its operational significance, but for what it said about Ukraine's evolving capabilities in intelligence and reconnaissance. It showcased the ability to detect, identify, and track enemy movement with precision, even under the cloak of darkness. Every element of the convoy's movement was recorded, every potential route analyzed, and every possible response considered, all before the sun rose. The timing, the discipline, and the vigilance of Ukrainian forces in this moment reflected a broader evolution in the conflict, where control of information and the ability to act upon it can shift the balance as decisively as artillery or armor. This pre-dawn revelation was a moment of clarity amidst chaos, a point at which foresight, patience, and operational rigor converged to give Ukraine not only a tactical advantage, but a glimpse into the broader strategies at play on the Russian side. It was a quiet, tense, and pivotal moment that set the stage for the decisions and actions that would follow. A moment that underscored the critical interplay between intelligence and action in the modern battlefield. As Ukrainian commanders absorbed the information about the hidden convoy, the atmosphere was charged with urgency and tension. Every decision carried immense weight, every second mattered, and the stakes were unlike any routine military calculation. The commanders faced a critical choice: strike immediately, seizing the element of surprise, or hold back, risking the convoy slipping into more secure positions, bolstering Russian forces in a way that could alter the dynamics of the front lines. This was not a simple tactical question. It was a calculus of timing, risk, and opportunity in the dim light before dawn, where shadows merge with uncertainty. The pressure to act decisively was palpable. Ukrainian intelligence had provided a clear picture of the convoy's composition, movement, and potential vulnerabilities. Yet knowing the information and executing a plan are vastly different challenges. Every vehicle in that convoy represented more than metal and fuel. It symbolized reinforcements, resources, and the lifeblood of an enemy effort that Ukraine has been striving to counter for months. The commanders understood that hesitation could allow the convoy to reach fortified positions, resupply front line units, and extend the operational reach of Russian forces, possibly changing the trajectory of battles that were already precariously balanced. The choice demanded not only strategic acumen, but also a deep understanding of the moral and practical consequences. Acting meant risking escalation, a potential exposure of Ukrainian positions, and the inherent dangers of precision operations against a mobile target. Waiting, however, could mean conceding a critical advantage that intelligence had painstakingly uncovered. In these moments, the human dimension of command became starkly evident. Every officer, every soldier knew that the decision would ripple far beyond the immediate battlefield. As plans were considered, simulations were run in real time. Weighing the likely movements of the convoy, the terrain they would traverse, and the potential for rapid counteraction by Russian forces. Every possible outcome was mapped. Every contingency accounted for. The commanders had to think not only about destruction, but about timing, coordination, and the cascading impact on the broader operational theater. The tension was heightened by the knowledge that dawn would reveal more than the landscape. It would also illuminate the results of whichever decision was made. The pre-dawn hours became a crucible of decision-making where intelligence, experience, and intuition collided. Communication channels buzzed with rapid-fire updates. Analysts relayed the smallest shifts in convoy speed or position, and field commanders evaluated what could be achieved if action was taken now versus a calculated delay. The mental acuity required in such moments is immense. Yet the Ukrainian leadership displayed a blend of patience and decisiveness that reflected both their growing operational maturity and the high stakes of modern conflict. Every decision in that moment was a test of judgment under pressure. And every second of deliberation was balanced against the opportunity to strike at a fleeting vulnerability in the Russian supply chain. It was a moment that demonstrated how modern warfare increasingly hinges on rapid, informed decision-making, where the ability to convert intelligence into decisive action can reshape outcomes before the first light fully touches the battlefield. Once the decision was made to act, Ukrainian forces moved with a precision that reflected not just planning, but a deep understanding of timing and tactical advantage. The convoy, hidden in plain sight under darkness and camouflage, became the focal point of a carefully orchestrated operation designed to maximize impact while minimizing risk. Every unit involved had a clear role, every maneuver calculated to exploit the enemy's momentary vulnerability. The strike was not simply about destroying vehicles. It was about disrupting momentum, severing supply lines, and sending a clear strategic signal that nothing moving in the contested territory could be taken for granted. The coordination required in those moments was extraordinary. Teams communicated silently, relying on signals and prearranged cues to synchronize attacks across multiple points. Ensuring that each strike compounded the effect of the last. Timing was everything. If the convoy had detected even a hint of Ukrainian presence, the operation could have failed, forcing Russian forces to adapt and potentially inflict retaliatory damage. The intelligence gathered in the hours leading up to the strike allowed commanders to identify the most critical elements of the convoy: fuel transports, ammunition carriers, and specialized vehicles supporting frontline operations. Targeting these first would cripple the convoy's effectiveness and create cascading challenges for Russian forces relying on their supplies. The operation unfolded with a sense of disciplined urgency, the kind that comes from a combination of training, experience, and the heightened stakes of modern conflict. Ukrainian forces leveraged every advantage at their disposal, from electronic monitoring to terrain familiarity, ensuring the strike would be as precise as it was decisive. And when the first impact occurred, it reverberated not only through the convoy itself, but through the broader operational theater. Russian units that had anticipated a smooth resupply found themselves grappling with unexpected chaos, supply delays, and disrupted coordination. The success of the strike underscored the transformative power of well-executed tactical decisions in warfare, where the ability to act decisively can outweigh sheer numbers or firepower. But the impact was not limited to physical destruction. The psychological effect on Russian forces was immediate. The realization that movements previously assumed to be secure could be detected and neutralized introduced a new level of caution and uncertainty into their operations. Ukrainian forces, by contrast, gained a surge of confidence, validating the value of their intelligence networks and reinforcing the effectiveness of their strategic planning. Throughout the operation, every action reinforced a central principle: success in contemporary conflict depends on the integration of information, timing, and precision. The strike against the convoy was not a standalone victory. It was a demonstration of how intelligence-led operations can disrupt the enemy's rhythm, weaken logistical support, and create conditions for broader operational advantages. In the aftermath, as the dust settled and the extent of the damage became apparent, it was clear that this was a strike designed with both immediate and lasting effects in mind, a testament to the evolving capabilities of Ukrainian forces to act decisively when opportunity meets preparation. The operation highlighted the meticulous balance between aggression and control, timing and judgment, risk and reward, all converging to produce an outcome that would resonate well beyond the immediate battlefield. As the smoke cleared and Ukrainian forces began assessing the strike's effects, It became immediately clear that the convoy had carried far more than standard supplies. The initial reconnaissance had revealed trucks, fuel tankers, and vehicles typical of routine resupply missions, but closer analysis uncovered elements that were far more consequential. Hinting at the larger operational intentions of Russian forces. Among the cargo were materials whose presence suggested ongoing logistical strategies, and in some cases, experimental or highly specialized equipment that, if allowed to reach front line units, could have materially affected the trajectory of operations. Ukrainian intelligence teams moved quickly, cataloging and analyzing the remnants, cross-referencing satellite imagery, intercepted communications, and other sources of real-time data to understand the significance of each item. The discovery was not just tactical, it was strategic. Every piece of equipment, every crate, told a story about Russian priorities, their supply chain vulnerabilities, and the operational pressures they were facing behind the front lines. The insights gained were invaluable, transforming what could have been a straightforward strike into a broader intelligence windfall. Ukrainian analysts could now map patterns, anticipate likely movements, and project where similar convoys might appear next. This is the kind of information that allows a military not merely to respond, but to proactively shape the battlefield. The cargo also revealed nuances in Russian operational doctrine. Certain vehicles suggested rapid deployment capabilities, while specialized equipment indicated preparations for targeted maneuvers intended to reinforce contested areas. Each discovery prompted rapid communication between field units and command centers, ensuring that the knowledge would be acted upon immediately. Beyond the immediate tactical benefits, this intelligence provided a window into Russian logistical planning and risk management. Ukrainian forces were able to see how supply priorities were determined, how resources were being allocated, and which units were receiving support most urgently. The timing of the strike amplified its value by intercepting this convoy. Ukraine not only denied the enemy critical supplies, but also obtained a snapshot of their broader operational mindset. There was also a symbolic dimension to the discovery. Uncovering hidden materials before they reached front lines demonstrated the reach and sophistication of Ukrainian intelligence capabilities, sending a message not only to Russian forces, but to observers across the international community that Ukraine is capable of acting decisively with insight, precision, and speed. Every data point collected from the convoy contributed to an expanding understanding of how Russian forces are attempting to sustain their operations under increasing pressure. By turning what could have been a standard logistical disruption into a profound intelligence advantage, Ukraine demonstrated the evolving nature of modern warfare, where information can be as powerful as artillery and foresight can be as lethal as firepower. The discovery underscored the high stakes of every movement on the battlefield, the intricate interplay between supply and strategy, and the critical importance of timely, actionable intelligence in determining not just the outcome of a single engagement, but the broader trajectory of an ongoing conflict. What sets this operation apart is that its success was measured not merely in the destruction of enemy assets, but in the way intelligence, timing, and strategic decision-making combine to create a decisive advantage. In modern conflict, the ability to convert knowledge into action is often more consequential than sheer firepower. And this engagement exemplifies that principle at its most dramatic. Ukrainian forces, having identified the convoy before dawn, were able to leverage every fragment of information, its composition, routes, timing, and potential vulnerabilities to orchestrate a strike that was not only effective, but surgically precise. The victory lay in the seamless integration of observation, analysis, and execution, a process that transformed raw intelligence into operational leverage. Each move, from reconnaissance to coordination with artillery and tactical units, reflected a depth of planning and situational awareness that underscores how modern military engagements increasingly hinge on information superiority. The convoy's destruction was more than a tactical win. It was a statement of capability and control, a demonstration that Ukraine can detect and act upon fleeting opportunities with speed and accuracy. The psychological impact cannot be overstated. Russian forces, who may have considered this movement routine and secure, were confronted with the reality that every vehicle, every shipment is now vulnerable to rapid, informed action. That realization can ripple across command structures, forcing reassessments, delaying operations, and introducing caution into future maneuvers. For Ukraine, the operational gains were amplified by the knowledge that intelligence-led operations can shape the battlefield as profoundly as kinetic strikes. The orchestration required to achieve this outcome is notable for its complexity. Field commanders had to ensure that units remained undetected while coordinating simultaneous actions across multiple vectors. Analysts relayed real-time adjustments based on movements, terrain conditions, and unexpected variables, while communication lines maintained clarity and precision under conditions where even a small misstep could compromise the entire mission. The strike also highlighted the evolving nature of Ukrainian military doctrine, where information timing and adaptability are increasingly central to operational success. The ability to anticipate enemy moves, act decisively on intelligence, and exploit weaknesses demonstrates a maturity in command and execution that goes far beyond simple battlefield tactics. There is an elegance to the operation every aspect. From surveillance to targeting to follow-up assessment was part of a continuum that turned observation into tangible advantage. This victory illustrates how modern warfare is not merely about attrition, but about control of information, control of timing, and control of the narrative of engagement. By capitalizing on intelligence in this way, Ukrainian forces were able to strike at the heart of an operation before the enemy could react, demonstrating that in today's conflicts, insight can be as decisive as any weapon system. The integration of knowledge into action created a ripple effect that extends far beyond the immediate strike, impacting planning, morale and strategic calculations, showing that the combination of intelligence and precision execution can redefine what it means to hold the upper hand on a modern battlefield. The broader implications of this operation extend far beyond the immediate tactical gains, revealing both the strategic sophistication of Ukrainian forces and the vulnerabilities of Russian operations. By successfully locating, targeting, and neutralizing a hidden convoy before dawn, Ukraine demonstrated a capability that reshapes the dynamics of engagement on the battlefield. Russian forces, long accustomed to moving supplies and personnel with a measure of predictability, were suddenly confronted with a stark reality. Movements that once seemed secure are now subject to rapid detection and decisive counteraction. This sends an unmistakable signal across the operational theater that no logistical line is invulnerable. And every maneuver must now account for the possibility of interception and disruption. Ukrainian forces, through meticulous intelligence and precise execution, have not only degraded the enemy's immediate capacity, but also gained a psychological edge, imposing uncertainty on future Russian planning. Commanders must now weigh the risks of movement, the timing of supply runs, and the potential exposure of critical assets, all under the shadow of enhanced Ukrainian reconnaissance capabilities. The operation also underscores the evolving nature of warfare, where operational success increasingly relies on the integration of intelligence, speed, and adaptability. Ukraine's ability to translate knowledge into immediate action demonstrates that control of information can be as powerful, if not more so, than conventional firepower. The strike against the convoy serves as a case study in operational agility, where preparedness, timing, and situational awareness converge to produce outsized effects. Beyond the battlefield, there are broader strategic ramifications. The interception and analysis of the convoy provided Ukraine with critical insights into Russian supply chains, force disposition, and tactical priorities, effectively giving Ukrainian planners a predictive edge over subsequent operations. The value of such intelligence cannot be overstated. It allows for proactive decisions rather than reactive measures, shaping engagements in a manner that can alter the trajectory of conflict over weeks and months. At the same time, the success of this operation reinforces confidence within Ukrainian ranks, validating the effectiveness of their intelligence apparatus, operational planning, and field coordination. This confidence translates into greater initiative, willingness to exploit vulnerabilities, and the ability to press advantages when opportunities arise. For Russian forces, the implications are equally sobering. The strike illustrates that conventional assumptions about operational security are no longer sufficient, forcing a reevaluation of movement protocols, protective measures, and risk management strategies. It also amplifies the uncertainty that arises when supply lines and reinforcements cannot be relied upon to reach their destinations unchallenged. The operation demonstrates that the modern battlefield is as much about perception and situational dominance as it is about direct confrontation. Every intercepted convoy, every disruption to logistics, and every intelligence windfall contributes to a cumulative advantage that shapes the course of engagement in real time. Ukraine's ability to execute such operations with precision highlights a significant shift in operational capability, showing that agility, insight, and decisiveness can redefine what it means to hold the upper hand. The ripple effects of this strike will be felt in planning rooms, command centers, and operational calculations across the theater, underscoring that control over information and the ability to act swiftly on it can determine not only the outcomes of individual engagements, but the broader strategic posture of forces on both sides.